Mic is on and off now. Mic is... Welcome, everybody. I don't know what was going on there. We might be having some sound issues again. Please let me know if you can hear me properly, and then we can just check that. Welcome, everybody, to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I'm your host. This, of course, is the Overthinking Football Show. It's on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. And then also on Fridays, we are here at 12:30. Where we can have conversations about football, and really delve deep into what we believe football is. And today is one of those days. Today's topic is going to be one of the good ones. If you want to watch the previous episodes, they are available in full over there on Facebook and on YouTube. You're able to watch them, and then you can give me feedback there if you've ever missed anything or you want to hear it. Also, if you've ever listened to the show or watched it live, you'll understand that there's voices that join the show every single day, that lend their voices towards the show. If you want to be one of those voices, you can add your voice to the show by joining me live on TikTok, for those who are watching on YouTube. And there's a little button at the bottom of the screen that will appear when I say. It says multicast. It's got a blue little figure hugging a pink figure. Click on that, request, and then I can let you in, and we can have a conversation about whatever we're speaking about on that day. So today's topic is very simple. As you can see up there, I have a Phillies game representative there. And we got an interesting conversation that we got into yesterday, where we were speaking about what is entertaining football. And the brothers who are on the panel had some very interesting takes. Some people were saying that tactically, one team being tactical and taking over a game and showing the other team how to play and things like that is an entertaining game. Other people, like myself, said that it's when you see two teams battling, regardless of what football they play, you see teams answering questions and asking questions, and you see a dynamic game where you can tell that everybody on the game is thinking. That is, for me, an entertaining game, right? Then there was Malume Kuto who came in, and he highlighted that guys, manitama tactics man, because the real thing we know about entertaining football is watching Abo Mshishi, watching Abo Vinicius Jr. He mentioned Ronaldinho. And it's not necessarily to say that it's just creative players, but also players that know when to be creative and know when to get the crowd going. He used the example of asking Guti, what are the nicknames of some of the Sundowns players that we know and we love? And why is it that they don't have those things? Is it maybe because they're not as entertaining as maybe we know our South African football to be? And that got me thinking, because one of the questions that, the follow-up questions that I wanted to ask was, what exactly is entertaining football, one, but what is South African football? What do we deem to be South African football, and how can we categorize that? Because from the conversation we had yesterday, some people were saying that the football is beautiful football where people are just dribbling for fun. Abos Kwama. They come out and they entertain us and they do those things where they sit on balls, about Phillies games. And that was what we deemed to be South African football. And for me, I understand the skill point and I understand people speaking about no, ukibela mapolo. But when I was growing up, not everybody won. There's Kibela Mapolo. And the people who were Kibela used to do it at a certain time. It's 3-0. We need to entertain the crowd. It's you need to take on a player to go score. You need to do something that's going to be positive towards the game, right? So a lot of people misconstrued that and said that letting those to maninje out of the blue is what we deem South African football. And part of the conversation that I want to have today is, guys, I have a theory. And my theory is that the reason why African football suffers in a lot of spaces and has a tough time in some places is because we don't cultivate our own. A lot of the ideas that we want to put onto the pitch come from overseas. And those guys have been playing the type of football you want to play, deemed to be modern football, far longer than everybody else. And the base at where they develop it is much stronger. So if you ask a player who's 22, who's 23, football, and now you're asking him to play a football that is not from here, and it's a football that is foreign to him because it doesn't have the basic thing. What can I say? Requirements. And we always speak about trap, pass, all of that stuff. Our players, by and large, don't have that. But in terms of technical ability, it's very high. So now, are you sacrificing the technical ability that our players have in order for them to go play something, tiki-taka, for example, that comes from elsewhere? And also, one of my other additions to this theory is, guys, there's people who are doing this. The guys who do these tiki-takas are doing it for a reason. There's a reason why. And a very deep reason. It may be the players available at the time. It may be how they want to groom their players, what their players are strong at. If you go to some of the countries that have tall players, it's crossing football. But then we are adapting a football that we are just taking because it looks nice on TV. And now you're asking Tibos to be Chavi, and it's not working out. Instead of saying, Tibos, I want you to be Dr. Kumalo. And my theory then goes forward to say, guys, and the question I want to ask today, is it possible for us to cultivate our football to a level where it's competitive around the world? Think about Brazil and how they had a style of football and how they used to play and what they expected of players and what their players could do. And instead of going out and trying to mimic a Dutch team, a German team, mimic a Spain team, they had their football and it took them to the top. One of the examples that Malume Kuto used yesterday was speaking about Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho was a trickster. Ronaldinho used to do a lot of tricks, right? But teams were set up. Their team was set up in such a way, one, to protect him in doing that. And also, he knew when and how and why he was doing that. So this is the conversation I want to have today. What is South African football? And when you look at South African football, can we cultivate South African football to be something more, especially in the world? This is the conversation that I want to have today with you guys. I'm going to open up the lines. Remember, you have to be following me on TikTok in order to join me live here and add your voice to the show. So let me open up and let's see. Guys, also, feel free to comment, feel free to jump in. Remember, guys, this is not a show that is meant for certain people to speak all the time or for me to just bounce off ideas of people that I know. I want to hear from everybody. The whole point of this show is that we don't get chances where we can speak to each other and speak about our thoughts. It's always listening to analysts and listening to former players and things like that. And we're often not taken into account when they speak about these things. So I have opened, guys, bottom of your screen, it says multi-guest. It's got a blue man hugging a pink man, click on that button and you can jump in and we can have the conversation about what we think South African football is and how we categorize South African football. That is the conversation that I want us to have today. So, guys, yeah, that's what I was saying. That even when you go back to it, back to the conversation we were having yesterday, I think that there is a disrespect of what South African football used to be and what we had and what it could give us back in the day. And I think when we think of South African football, we think of Jabu Pule, we think of those type of players who are playing in front. But we neglect the fact that those teams were solid all the way through. Think of Bafana Bafana 96. Utok Kumalo was a skillful player, very skillful. Bayabam Babantu used to do incredible things. And we used to love watching him. But I think people forget that there was Abu Neil Tovi, very solid defensively at the back, Abu Eric Tinkler, there were Abu Linda Buteles in the middle. We had strikers who may not have been as technically gifted, but they were able to score. When you think about the PSL, let's say early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, we had strikers who were strikers. We had midfielders. For those who used to play Kasi football back in the day, not to age any of you guys, what was the setup of a Kasi team? You had a 4 and a 5. One guy was a sweeper, one guy was the defender. You had in the middle 2 sixes. One was attacking 6, Lobek Amnandi, and the other one used to clean up. There were roles assigned to everybody. I think what we do is we cheapen what South African football was back in the day in order to raise up this modern football. And one more choice, one more conversation I'd like to have is also the fact that our teams don't play towards the strength of their players. They play towards the strengths of what I saw yesterday, Upepa Yenza. And I want to ask Ukolani to be Messi. And Ukolani is not a Messi, and he'll never be up to Messi's level in Messi's skill points. But in Ukolani's skill points, he could be the top player. But yet we are asking these guys. I gave the example of Steve Kompela when he was still at Swallows. I think he's playing out from the back, conceded 8 goals, and they lost maybe 3 games, where I was like, but you know what your strengths of your players are, and you know what the weaknesses of your players are. And it's clear to see Akpe is not a comfortable player playing out the ball. But for the sake of this modern football, quote unquote, that we exalt, that we love so much, we carry on doing these things and putting our players into very tough situations that they don't understand. Even when you look at the Sundowns, guys, the Sundowns, Rulani doesn't ask his pure center backs to play the ball out. He brings in a midfielder because he understands this is his team and he finds a way to play his football. But anyway, let me welcome Kolane onto the show. Welcome, my brother. How are you? I'm right, man. I'm okay. I'm okay. Tell me, Kolane, what do you think of? I'm gonna first ask you, what is South African football to you? Kolane, still with me? Okay. Yeah, you're audible. You're audible. You're audible.
I think it's will be a system that relies on talent more than formation.
Okay.
A simple 4-4-2 for formation, but every position we must select. Uh, uh, we must select umuntu ongakwazi ukudlala lo position like back in the days kwakwazi ukuthi umuntu odlala u5 must be a strong guy yabo Mr. Uthi as well as Mr. Like as well as umuntu odlala u6 must be a well built like umuntu physically or strong but going go, but going to attackers you have to be skillful and be able to dribble and eliminate players to
Mm.
uzokwazi ukuthi create ama-chances or to score.
Mm.
It wasn't more on a system but on talent and technique. Mr. Uti. I'm not sure if you understand that.
Yeah. Okay. Let
Yeah,
me
so
bring in.
I'll say
Oh,
that for me
you were
that is
saying.
South African football, and yeah, for me that's South African football, and we're not saying tiki taka is not entertaining because Ishushan and piano, you can also say it's tiki taka. It's just that it is on a South African way, and it was entertaining back then, and it's still as entertaining. Yeah, but it's just that you need to have players that will suit your system and mix it up with iskili with our players with our technique, good techniques and tactical abilities.
Okay. Let me go to Ndabentle. Ndabentle, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yes, my brother, I'm okay. And how do you do, man?
I am good. I'm good. Tell me, I'm gonna just ask you a cold question, straight up. What is South African football to you? What does
South
it
African
mean when I
football,
say South African football?
I think it's going through resurrection because we are damn bloody short on technique. The boys can play ball, but when it comes to formation, movement of the ball, taking corner kicks, set pieces, we are found wanting. The problem is at the grassroots. You know, uh, in Brazil, there was a program, the Bossa Canova program, where actually they discovered who was the greatest dribbler owayenenwele ezinde most ntwana lengangiyithanda kakhulu yadlala
Ronaldinho.
Barcelona, uRonaldinho. Yeah. So Icasa Bonita was a very interesting thing. They started playing football on the concrete. Then they'll
Yeah.
be moved into the water. Then they'll be moved into the grass.
Okay.
And what they've discovered, or Joe Felix was that they were able to harvest young men who had spatial technique. Uzokhumbula overthinker that eBrazil there was this thing ukuthi qale uyakhutuza, meaning you dribble then pass. So every person in the team, you wouldn't just pass first dribble because that was the way Ababe Sebenziso or Rivaldo to open up spaces for themselves. Now, Ufokumbula, during the Benny McCarthy era, we were just coming together. Kwadla ukuthi-ke i-age bracket yamajida ayisivele isiyimbi yabo. But after that, well, it has been downside, the changing of coaches, poor training, absence of grassroots football, and all the programs ebebethi bayawafaka, they were not producing talented footballers that could fit into the national team. So njalo thina we have to start a new national team. Njalo we have to start a national team. And I don't know which way we're going to get with this one. So that's how I view football as a South Africa. By the way, Overthinker, I'm a greatest Manchester City supporter.
Yeah.
I like Stianasika Frodiola.
Oh, Prodiola.
I nicknamed him Frodiola. You attack without a strong back. The idea keep the ball with you. He has no back line, but he's winning games. And believe me, Uzos are retired after having played that, but nobody's trying to match him. During the day when I was listening to you, Kalangama in the Sundowns. Why do people fear Sundowns? Then they start playing. You're absolutely correct. And it takes Abafana who are fearless to stop immensity. You know, and the last one, sisahluleka thina South Africa differentiator between a sharpshooter and a striker.
Yeah.
You know, a striker is a guy who can score at any angle, anyhow, ball running, ball stop, dead ball, whatever. Then a sharpshooter, it's a guy chipela. Eduze net, you chip Eduze. For instance, Haaland is not a striker, he's a sharpshooter. You've got to have two very, very technically skilled midfielders to get Haaland to score 30, 40 goals a season. You know that. We need to look into those things. Tina South Africa, ngibuka ilokhuza ngenza stats. Gibuga Magol, where are we? 15 games per team by now, if I'm not mistaken, or 16. But check the number of goals that we have scored. Like league and a score is down ganjin. It worries me a lot. An indication that our team HPSL, they are lacking skillful strikers. You know that. But if you compare, of course, I'm not comparing British football. If you compare Zambian football, go and check their stats. Go to Nigerian league and check their stats. Go to Egypt and check their stats. Very, very different. I think it's the resurrector. I'm hoping for the best. That's all I can say.
Okay, Xolani, I wanna stick on that point. Yeah, Undabentle. You know, when I think of again, in my eyes, South African football, early 2000s, let's say, we had Itraika, we had a defender, you know, we had Abo Mbesuma, Abo Mdau, Abo Manyatela, Abo Tekili Twaba, who were every season finding a way to get Buma 20 goals. Where have we gone wrong? And is it what we see now, like Phillies games, for example, where abantu bayatribula nje, and now that's the football aska develop a striker and other players.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're absolutely correct, my brother.
Oh, wait, I'm going to come back. I'm first starting with
Okay,
Xolani.
sorry. Yeah.
Xolani.
Yeah, uthi hey uBundawenhle lapha hey ukhathazekile ne. But asobuye simnike ithuba. Yeah, for me Mr. Uthi, I don't think if Felix game Felix game has nothing to do with Premier League having a low scoring ratio goals ngithola. But I think it's scouting nanokuthi when players get professional contracts, I think they tend to relax and think they've arrived, Mr. Oti. Lauma extra training lessons, I doubt ukuthi bayawenza, although besho my press conference ukuthi they remain behind and do extra trainings, but it doesn't show. It doesn't show ukuthi they remain behind because basha belungu bathi the proof is in the pudding. If usala ngempela and practice, surely you will see ama results. But I doubt they do that. And also, Mr. Oti, I think we also need to adapt istyle sa Europe in terms of beefing your technical staff, Mr. Oti, because you can't rely on staff esincane to oversee the bunch of players you have for the rest of the season. Sundowns is a good example of that. You need a strong technical staff to be able to pay attention to each and every player and make him better and make him like a proper player.
But then aren't we too late when you're asking these guys to do extra staying extra for more time on the board? Isn't it too late, Maseba Fige PSL? Ngoba I remember saying that from my side, mina striker ngispundele mina when I was playing, and it was just natural ability. And when you think back to those things, I can't remember having a striking focused practice. You're through youth levels, for example. And isn't that what we're doing to most of our players that I'm on? The natural ability yakho is what we're leaning on up until ufika ku-PSL. Now siyamangala ukuthi hayi man, uXolani can't make runs, Xolani can't run on the shoulder of a defender, can't do this, can't do that. Isn't that part of the problem?
Yeah, it is, Mr. Oti. But another thing that I find it very, very strange, which you'll find a player scoring 6 goals, maybe like 7 goals in 20 games, and then the press will come and hype him and say he's ready for EPSL. Nothing against Mfundo Vilakazi, but if we umthola kuma headlines like bambhale as if he's a messiah of Kaizer Chiefs, team engaka Mr. Oti, a 17-year-old being held to like try and pull team engaka ebekho namanye ama-players. I think even i-press has a problem. I mean, i-press is a part of the problem. We say, and Mr. Oti, as a football player, you can always learn and improve. Mtsemba Zwane is still learning, is still stays behind. So most of the Premier League, Mr. Oti, there's never too late to open the Kubega and try and text extra extra shinings.
Ndabenta, are we doing enough at development level to blood certain type of players? As I said, I played football all through my youth, and I don't remember, and we used to train with another team. I don't remember as strikers, strikers drills, as defenders, defensive drills. I don't remember having any of those type of things. And do you think that is what harms some of our development?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot. Xolani, you're a genius, bro. Yabo inchaze nje kaXolani ukuthi athi imitate every problem for hyping mediocrity. You know, a guy scores 2 goals, then he's a star, our star. And the next thing, the guys go into the mall every day. He misses gyms, he drinks himself to places, and the form dips. It grassroots. Mr. Oti, let me just give you something that I've had a blessing of encountering. For almost a period of 22 years, Southampton was a feeder for greatest British footballers. Why? They had one of the best programs. They would have in strikers cell, midfielders cell, defenders cell, and goalkeepers cell. And bonke babefundiswa ama ex-players of Southampton. And these boys were drilled on every aspect of football, then discipline. The system was then copied by Arsenal. It landed Ferguson when he got into Man United. Immediately, British football changed. Every team was now investing on creating a grassroots. Whereas if you go to Etihad, I wish Mr. Otenga tungakutate uvakashele khona. They've got 5-year-old abaphelezela 5 years. But plastic ball. Then there's team 2 or 10-year-old up until 10 to 15. So laying on psyche yabo is ingrained around football. The best is Europe. I must say, I agree with the caller. The best is Europe. And if Barcelona has the same program again, is there Mexico, Brazil, and other countries, they invested on it. And as a result, they were able to get players galule South America because Asuga a part of a program that they've introduced 9, 5, 10 years before. So now South Africa angazi. Let me just take you back, Mr. Oti. We are Kumbula School of Excellence is well managed. Yeah, produce over. You know the big names that it produced exactly. So we need.
But then where did we go wrong? Because again, I think South African football was on a trajectory and it was very high. And we had our School of Excellence. Kaizer Chiefs was pumping out players. Pirates was pumping out players. Cape Town, Los Santos were finding players. Cape Town Spurs back in the day. Where did we go wrong then? Especially when we were doing so well already with these things.
Money got into the game and everything just went down slide. Money got into the game. Yeah. You see, OT, if you're going to pay a guy, a 22-year-old guy, with 100,000 rand a month, corner kick, he's not going to get anywhere soon. That's one of our biggest problems, you know. We don't even reward these boys for hard work. We just throw them because we believe in them. As a result, in lifespan with football, it's so short. I've never seen a country with footballers whose lifespan doesn't go beyond 9 or 10 years. Yet, if you go to Britain, the player till they're still 35 and they are now coaches of their own club. Again, coming back and improving your recruitment procedure. It's going, imali elimaza, Mr. Oti. It damaged the football. Yet, unfortunately, football is run on money. You need money, you know that. So,
but surely, logic would tell you that, if we develop these kids well, more money will come in from sales, from sending them overnight. Brazil basically lives off of that.
Buga Southampton and Brazil, where are they after making close to 6.4 billion selling players abroad? The Southampton are relegated with the best program in place, you know that?
Yeah.
Because they are focused on money, you know that? So that is the situation.
Okay, let me bring in Stormy. Stormy.
Before we bring in Storm, uyazi kukhona into engicela uyicabange. You know, kune program in the US. Le ukuthi intwana kumele iye university. NBA program.
Yeah, at least 1 year.
At least 1 year must go and spend it in university. Uma ufike university, first year yakho khona program interesting I've been reading and following it. You study the science of athleticism and how to play netball. Simple. That is basketball. That is why they've got these elegant, beautiful, skillful, technical, astute guys, because all of those boys don't understand. They've been to varsity. Some of them, they actually come out with degrees. And they're able to take back the program to their places, yes. So in South Africa, maybe we need to go the route of scholarship. So is NFL, yeah. All those boys are varsity graduates, majority, in fact, yeah.
But even before that, in basketball, they've got the AAU. They've got it's kids from, I think it's 10 to 15 or something like that, where they play in club teams. Some of them are coached by former players and things like that. And they're able to find the top guys. I always ask, who's the top striker at under 13 in South Africa? You can't tell me. You know what I mean? But it's I'm gonna come back on that one. Let me bring on to Stormy. Stormy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sharp, who's it?
Sharp, Stormy, man. Stormy, since you're coming in now, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. Number 1, what is South African football? And then number 2, where did we go wrong in football yethu? Ngoba football yethu was of a very high standard at some point, and then all of a sudden it fell down the wayside.
Yeah, Oti, as in I will make a normative statement, which is not a fact. Is our based on our opinion, yeah.
Okay.
So in the market, about anyone often we pick a lot of negative why it's based on opinion. It is not a fact. To me, in South African football, it was the football ngabo Jomosono, dribbling, scoring. I mean, dribbling kwenza zando kukhona kwebhola sizibona goals, but precisely dribbling, and it was entertaining football. But the problem is, when you talk about that football, it is a point of reference to football sasenayo. And if football in the end, as the time goes by, it has changed. Ubonakalisa uba ixesha liyahamba. This is exactly lento it happened kula mazwe sithetha ngawo or Europe. You can find out into about Europe, if football that are playing currently is not similar to the one edlalwa kudala. And ngojongana kabo Argentina is in South America. If football edlalwa ngoku is totally different la football edlalwa ngoMaradona.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, this back is that the point of reference and the identity of football. But as the time goes by, if football change indlela kudlalwa ngayo. That is why ngoku it requires abantu to watch more football, learn more about football, go and take classes as the football, because in the problem that we have as South African football, it has been so many years silekisa ku-striking force, and nabantu uyayazi loo nto oyilandelayo football lapha South Africa. We've been struggling with striking force, and if kwenzekile kwakho someone who's competing uba i-top goal scorer, you'll find out who are power 10, 11 goals, which is the problem ekudala sifika nayo. Now, when you compare to South African football, kwi-point ezinje ye-lack of strikers nentontoni, funeka sijonge into yoba e-Europe benza kanjani ukuze ii-numbers zezi-strikers ezikorayo zibe ninzi. One, you find out teams zine striking coach as lo msebenzi wenziwa nguBhenny pha ku-Manchester United.
Yeah.
Now when you go back usiza be-South Africa uyojonga into esithanda uva ngayo thina ngu-goalkeeper coach asizange seva thina ngo-coacher who's coaching these strikers so that we have these numbers. Now,
or midfielders
the problem that
coach,
we have
or you know.
Yeah. So kule problem sinayo it still requires abantu kubekho such positions ezithi sine striking coach and ke ngoku when you have a coach who's dealing with indaba ye-strikers lo coach should go outside the country and learn ukuba ezi countries zenza kanjani to have such numbers as strikers. Because i-problem ye-striking force, it has been there for a very long time. So mna basically iye ndiyibona kwi-foundation of football in South Africa is lacking. Academic wise as academies of football, something is wrong eyenzekayo pha, even though thina sizibona players sibe nazo, but abantu abawenzi umsebenzi thoroughly so that when abantu bekhulile sizothi this is an identification of a striker esisuka kule development enziwa apha eSouth Africa. So these are the problems esizifface as i-South African football. Otherwise mna i-problem yam kuma ikulapha ekuqaleni uba foundation wise, and ke ngoku eSouth Africa sinale nto thina sithi umuntu ona-22 is the youngest player, which is very wrong, yabo. And ke ngoku loo nto iyasibetha because you'll find out zikhona izistrikers ubone uba kuthiwa nanko umuntu uyasikora kumvela, come to PSL athengwe iteam, we don't see such. And ke ngoku andizoyiblame loo nto because i-level of football ayifani, uyabo, of which is thina ke ngoku if besino foundation esizomenza so that i-football foundation nokubheka phezulu izifane going forward, uthi xa usowusuka kwesa stage unyukela phezulu siyazi uba i-standard usasibambile esiya. So yile nto isibethayo ngoku because you'll find out ngoku ko-England ii-teams ezinkulu they don't mind ukulowna iplayer ku-championship because bayazi such player ku-championship i-confidence iyakwazi unyuka ibe yile player uyifunayo. So thina we are loaning back these players to ku-Motsepe Foundation, le Motsepe ntontoni, but when they come back asiboni change. So these are the problems ezikhona ke in football.
But Prastomi, I just want to ask you, Prastomi, isn't the problem that umuntu uthola strikers coach when he's 22? Throughout his life, bekungekho lawo ma-strikers coach. And now you're trying to teach somebody things that they've never even thought of. Isn't that part of the problem? Yokuthi mangithi striker, by the time they get to the PSL, by the time they get to Motsepe League, they are not abavuthwanga.
This is exactly the problem. Nam ndiyakuvumela unyalisile, very true, bra. This is exactly the problem because le nditsho foundation wise you fumanisa ukuba asinazo ezinto ezirequirisha zoba umuntu ozosebenza kubekho isi-striker esikhule wasesi-striker sisifunayo. At some stage ngoba kwi-problem sinayo zezi-strikers isenza ngoku uthatha iplayer eyayidlala i-backline siyoyijonga uba ingakwazi uwenza umsebenzi as a striker, which is if lo muntu ebekhule as a striker lesisesiyibona into i-direction esiya kuyo uba iyasinceda because lo muntu ukhule nayo loo nto. So with the problem that we have isibangele ngoku senza i-sacrifice of taking i-players ezizi-defenders siyojonga up front uba angakwazi uskora. Basically ke ithi kwi-base ne-foundation the problem was there and yile nto sasibethayo till today.
Okay. Let me bring in Tiamo. Tiamo, you can just unmute. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? You can just unmute there, Tiamo. Let me see if I can't help out. Okay, let me go to Austin. Oh, there we go. Tiamo, are you with me? I'm good. Tell me, Tiamo, two questions. What is South African football, number one, to you? How would you define South African football? And then number two, Where did South
Okay.
African football go wrong? At some point, we were World Cupping.
No.
At some point, we had top goal scorers with more than 20 goals. At some point, the teams are competitive. What is happening?
No, you know what? Based on experience, I used to be a youth player way before MTC, right? So the problem is with South African football is the football that was played by the old players, which are more so no Dr. Kumalo. That was our old style. Now, with what Mamelodi Sundowns is doing now, which is great. It's very great. The development there is very high. The problem is players do not want to develop it themselves. The problem is when you are a fancy player at a young age, everyone expects so high of you. There's expectations that you must meet as a young player. So when you are like for instance, Lamine Yamal, Barcelona, 16 years old.
Yeah.
This side, those players are still playing at under 13 and something, and then there's corruption in which you have to change your ages in order to get in. That's the problem. South African football is got messed up from the day MTC started because we don't know who's who and what does what. The coaches also. We do not have enough development coaches in South Africa at all.
Yeah.
There's nothing about development. MTC is a very good platform. It's a very nice platform, but it lacks something. There's something that they don't teach. South African football is all stylish, but then the stylish is not the stylish that we see from Kasi football. Kasi football and professional football is different. That's where you must get the narrative of where to play, how to play. Kasi football is for entertainment. That's like, I want to go watch a soccer match that will bring smiles to my face, and then I want to watch a soccer match that will actually bring results and cups into the team. Now, Mamelodi Sundowns, for me, I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan, unfortunately, but Sundowns is doing the most. It's doing everything that must be done according to football. And then they say it's European football. Me, I don't care about that. Anyone can sweat me. Yeah, but then I don't care. Sundowns is doing the right thing. We must just follow what Sundowns is. It's all about culture. Kaizer Chiefs used to dribble. Skarango Bears, he used to dribble, but then his dribbling was when they were winning. Here, we don't have the winning mentality. We just have the entertaining mentality, which is a problem. That is the problem. We don't have the winning mentality. And as a player, before MTC, I used to play for, I went to super sport schools. Yes, they taught everything. They used to separate us. Where are the strikers, where are the midfielders, where are the defenders. Now they used to use drills. Drills were there, but then we used to challenge each other. That's how you develop. And it worked for some players. And then MTC was introduced. And then by that time I was already grown up. I couldn't go back. I was already forward with whatever I was doing. But then development, that's where it should start. In the development, it's just that the skills are too much. Mfundo Vilakazi, I love that boy. See that boy, he's the future. He knows when to be serious, he knows when to entertain. If he continues to be serious, like Campbell from Supersport, those boys know football at its best. Yeah, but development is a problem for some players because they think it's the end. That's where they'll end. That's why we never have enough players that are young, that are 17, 15 years old, you're playing for the first team. We don't have that here.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem. So South Africa.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. You touched on something very important that I want to ask a question on. Let me welcome Austin Tabi. Austin Tabi, Austin Tabi, are you with me?
Ngizobuya.
Okay, Austin Tabi.
Yeah.
I like what was said here. There's some very interesting points that have been touched on, and I want us to move a little bit over because something that Utiamo mentioned was speaking about the mentality. The players want to be better. The coaches want to be better. South African footballs want to be better. And I feel as though in South African football, we've reached a point where we don't want to progress. And progress doesn't necessarily mean that you must go play tiki-taka that comes from Man City or tiki-taka that comes from Barcelona or try to do those things. Sometimes progression means, how do I go from Usquama, very, very highly technically gifted player for whatever we can say in terms of ball at his feet. How do we take Usquama to Tembazwane, for example, where you're technically gifted, but now you're learning the game? How do we take our coaches from guys who are very good at youth level and doing all that stuff? How do you take that guy from, I don't know, I don't want to be disrespectful to a coach, but taking them from there to a Pitso Msiman? Do they want to do those things? Xolani, I want to speak now to the mentality of South African football. Do we want to get better as a nation and as coaches, as players, administrators, or is everybody just fine? As Ustomi Notsiamo have said, striking has been a problem for a very long time, but it doesn't seem like anybody's actively trying to fix it. You know, is the mentality? How much is mentality to blame? La Mzansi ngepolale to not get going forward.
Okay, firstly,
There we go.
Okay. So can I just first echo Upundabela in terms of development structures? Because if you can remember, there was an interview ga Pito no Mangoba saying they lost on this guy from a port also Liverpool.
Oh yes, yeah.
This first guy, man.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know
yes,
you're talking.
by day. Yeah. And Upito washo lapha wathi they also wanted Vinicius. And the guys from yes, and the guy from that excellent School of Excellence, they just laughed at him and told him straight to see you can't get this one. This one is for Real Madrid. And told him straight. So you can tell by that at that academy there's also level. Okay, this striker we might try him go Belgium, but this one is so good that Real Madrid for sure we will take him. So I think development structures, I think lost interest in developing players and they became more of they became more driven by imali, Mr. Oti, because if we have abantu abafana nabo Pitso that will tell uPesita ukuthi no, you're not ready for Europe, can you at least stay for 2 seasons? Ngithola Mr. Oti, and then imidi izoqhamuka izothini lapha izothi no, uPitso is selfish, he doesn't want the young man to shine. Official Pitso, he cares about the guy. He can see ukuthi he's not proper for at the moment. He's not ready for Europe. He still needs to spend two more years nami and then go to Europe to shine, because uzobe ready by that time. And mawusuza kuma academies ala South Africa now, but they just don't care about ukuthi player will do well, and as long as ufake imali they'll give you the player, and they won't be like honest with you.
But does that not go to the question of the
and
mentality?
say, this player is not ready.
The mentality of South African football, where it's like nokudevelopa man, ama-coach wethu, ama-players wethu. How much can we put on their doors? Guti, why aren't you getting better in your own time?
Yeah, Mr. Oti, it does have to do with the mentality, because I think, Mr. Oti, we need to find people with as my coach will say, I think we need to find good human beings, selfless human beings, and so Mr. Oti, people who cares about developing our football, development structures, and abeke imali eceleni and put talent and our development at first, than imali, Mr. Ot. So lapho sobe siya phambili as a country, because you can't say, oh, because just that I don't want to mention names, Mr. Ot.
Yeah. No,
But,
I understand.
to be fair, Mr. Ot, like let's just employ and hire abantu with best interest of South African football. Lapho nje, Mr. Ot, will be sorted by doing that, because we really need to abantu who cares about the country and cares about my youngsters to go and represent our country in future.
Okay. Let me go to Ndabente. How much does mentality play into this? And mentality at all levels. Mentality from a player wanting to get better. You know, I used to read Sokalatuma, and you'd see players that interview them and they'd ask them, you know, who's your favorite player? And they'd be like, no, Ronaldo's my favorite player. What. And in my mind, I'd be thinking to myself, you know, you do this thing for a living. Like, if you really wanted to be a Ronaldo level type player, you could probably work, and maybe not up to that level, but you could probably work to get up there. How much do our coaches want to get better in terms of their badges, in terms of what they see in the game? Often we complain here about seeing the same tactics, the same moves, the same the same substitutions. How much do our administrators want to get better? How much does SAFA, PSL, how much does mentality play into the problems we're having in South African football? And David, you can just unmute there. Okay, let's give a second. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go to Stormy. Stormy, same question. How much does mentality play into all of our problems, man, from every level? What if I know coach, I can coach, I'm in a strikers coach. Maybe he's gonna do YouTube, bring up some things I can do on my own, try get better. Do we have those type of things at all levels in our football? How much does that play into the mentality?
Whereas OT mentality conversation iba stressed kakhulu kum. Yazi, I will point out izinto anything kuyo mentality plays a role enjani. Firstly, there's a mentality which is wrong yoba when you are 22 years old, uta youngest player. Low mentality to me is very wrong, because we've seen the players as Euro that are competing.
Yeah.
Secondly, any mentality which is wrong. When we see a player which is young, we are quickly to label that player. So that mentality ke ngoku iyalondo, it becomes a wrong mentality to a player ingene enhloko, uyabo. Then going forward, player ithathe lento, because thina siqala senza lento overhyping of a player ngoba siyibone very good. We don't want to stop talking about it, even though siyithanda nathi ba yinto enhle leyo. The likes of Omufukeng, Abo Campbell, to me these are great players. But I don't think we need to label those players, because such mentality, it will affect them as a players. Then baphele emoyeni. We've seen London, the good players bezifana nabo Junior Kanye. And yenye mentality, players as South Africa are too much exposed kubumnandi. And going obumnandi, such things, teams ziyazitolerate. When you go out to new countries, when you are a player, uyayazi indlela ofuneka uacte kanjani. Yabo. So ile ndithi ke, when it comes to mentality kwinto edibene of football kwiyala South Africa, too much in the negative endiyibona. There's a wrong negativity kuyo, because development wise sinale problem ye striking coaches ezizazi ba ziyawenza lo msebenzi, that are dedicated ukwenza lo msebenzi. And such coaches zidedicate kanjani to learn more, ziyayenza into to gather information about umsebenzi wabo yoba kubekho izstrikers. So these are mentalities around the issues of football kuthi South Africa. Hence,
but then can we look at the players? Can we look at the players, for example? You can zone in on each thing. Can we look at the players and say, "Hi guys, Siyazi ukuthi you may not be getting enough of 1, 2, and 3. I know, for example, we used the example of the NBA. We spoke about the NBA. A lot of the great players hire coaches themselves and say, okay, now Lomuntu is a very good shooting coach. I'm going to do extra reps with that person. I'm going to go fetch somebody, to get better myself, for example. Labo Coach Beto, are they going? Like, I love Pizzo because Pizzo will tell you that, hey, I had to invest in going to go learn about the psychological side of sports. I had to go to all of the courses and I had to do all those things. He still does courses. Can we look at them and say, and also blame them, the actual people now, and say, I'm Maranani, you don't take it serious enough?
Hey, yes, OT, you just made a very good point, bro. Yes, Balendo, Ilene etimini, bro, you don't depend on good technical stuff only. Now, about the doctors. Lendo it is very true. About all coaches, about coaching teams, they go out and look for Andrews Balayo. Or psychological doctors and abantu that will train your mind to be positive. So le nto uyibonayo ndiyayibona so kwenye icala siyakwazi ubablame ezinye ii-courses the upcoming coaches, meaning into yoba zona azi-invest so much time to learn about more in football and ne-surroundings izinto ezidingekayo that uziqaphela uba such things ziyakwazi u-affect i-player in football. So a psychological coach ozaba around the team is needed, someone who's guide the players as a positive mind, because you'll find out kwezi team coach is a coach uphinde afuneka lo coach kwayena afuneka benguye ucoach who's motivating these players. So i-departments ezinjalo they need to be created mna kwi-teams so that singabeki too much i-pressure on the coach abe neqanduva oluninzi loba mna I have to ba ndigade ezi players ndizinike a positive mind. So nee-players zinee-role eziyidlalayo because you cannot be a player but busy every weekend we are emgrooving. So you need a responsibility as a player. Nawe uyibonakalise le coach that is driving to uba you have an interest, and with the interest of uba ikhona uyayibonakalisa lona. That is why the likes of many coaches they install into ba if i-players ziyakwazi zibheke ekhayeni, i-players zonke should have i-landline yasekhayeni. So every time I want to call you, we pick up ifone. So such thing mna ibonisa a responsibility kwi-coach ne-azama uyi-installer to the players. So mna ndithi ke ngoku le nto yinto ebifama yenzeka kwi-players zibe responsible and the coach ibe responsible. So as a player xa ubukela ibhola abanye abantu uyifumanisa ke i-player does not watch football, it only goes to training. So as a player you need to motivate yourself and watch more football. Lastly, enye into ndifuna ukunika yona othi ndifuna ukuzinike nje le nto uyijongisise. Zakwenzela umzekelo eSpain, e-England, ujonge all big teams zase-England zine-South American player, precisely a Brazilian player ne-Argentinian player. Uzukuye ujonge le nto uxelelayo. Ubungajonga Arsenal, the likes of Gabriel, abo-Jesus, uye ku-Manchester City, uzobafumana oFernandinho bebe phaa, Edison was there. Manchester United bakhona Anthony, oCasemiro, the likes of Tottenham uye oRicharlison. So ufuneka uzoyijonga uba then ufumane uzinike an assignment, what is why these teams enza le investment of funeka ube ne-player eyi-South American in your team. That is why you find out the likes of Rolani ngoba bekuthiwa ibi-AFCON ebephumile wayo-Brazil to learn about South American football ihamba kanjani. Otherwise mna ndibawela loo nto kwi-coaches zethu in order zikhule in football.
And I also think that you don't have to go too far. I don't want to make it seem like I'm giving him too much credit, Mara. If you go onto Rulani's Instagram and you look at the things that he posts, like for example on his statuses, outside of the quotes, he's got a lot of things where he follows a ton of footballing accounts that explain things. and he'll literally post, and it's not necessarily the posting that I'm after. It's that tells you that there's somebody who is doing some work. You know, there's somebody who's okay. Let's go and check it out. And it's not to say that other coaches are not doing it. I don't want to sound that way, but I just want to show Guti some of the things are simple enough that you can follow this guy, that guy. There's an account that has Coach Study Coach or coaches where they break down things and things like that. These things are available to us. Ndabente, how much does mentality come into this? Like I mentioned, the NBA players, Steph Curry has his own team of shooting guys that he's spoken to the club and said, okay, guys, I want to be the greatest shooter ever. So I'm bringing Uzbanban. I found them here and there. They're going to be helping me with my shooting. During the off season, they often get specialists for certain things. I can't shoot well. He goes and gets a specialist to come in. Diet. I know LeBron, for example, and these are very high examples, but LeBron spends $2 million a year on specialists for his body and the equipment and what. Should we be asking more of our players, our coaches, our admin staff that maybe you should show us a little bit more in terms of you guys going out and growing? And it might not be spending a ton of money to go get a coach, but maybe watching some of the drills, setting up the things, going to former strikers or whatever, how they always speak, and going to go look for those things. How much does mentality play in our football not going forward?
Oti, Klopp is leaving Liverpool. You know that. But he's leaving behind 18 under 20 boys who are playing the best football of the time. So Liverpool is going to dominate the British League for the next coming 4-3 years with a new coach. I hope it will be Xabi Alonso for all intent and purposes. They've got 4 psychologists in the team. One is a woman. Guardiola's got 6 psychologists. 2 are women. What do psychologists do? They remain with one player. Oh, by the way, that relationship with your psychologist forms part of your contract. A team will never sign a contract when unga available twice or thrice or 4 times a month with psychologist. Contract, you are not allowed into a tavern, you are not allowed into a street club, you are not allowed to be at night until 1 o'clock. In the contract. Right. In South Africa, we are playing a deadliest game if we look at that standard versus Argentina. We don't need that. I shudder to think ukungena kwamaplaza South Africa out 24 all drunk with a severe purpose. Then our football is not going anywhere. So how then do you develop a player? First, you start a kinesthetic manager. Umuntu ozomfundisa ukuthi kulalwa kanjani, uvuka kanjani, how do you walk with konza kanjani gait yakho, and how do you protect yourself against injuries. Number 2, with dietitian. Number 3, probably a spiritual person, if there's a need. Remember, Oti, siqhamuka from a historical trauma thina abantu abamnyama. Asikho right now, angifuni ukuqamba manga. A lot of addiction and other things. We do need to protect our lighties. So I think to develop players, you're going to need a sports psychologist, a kinesthetic manager, a dietitian, and just a team, even put in a relationship with the player's family, either the mother or the brother, or corner or close to the player itself. Then bese bakhona a technical coach. Okuyena ohlala with the player ayikhombise i-performance yayo ka-3 months and actually show ukuthi anga improve kanjani if he wants to remain in the team. And I was disturbed to discover ukuthi that is not done in South Africa. Kusetshenzwa ngamajita, probably kwali bemi out nobrastom emjita sebenza uyakanga manje uyakanga yabo angazomsukhasa kakhulu wena. There is no contractual obligation to our players. So our players is going to take a long time, bra Oti, ukuthi ba develop psychologically, emotionally, and athletically. because we don't have these things in place.
But then is it too much to ask the players? I mean, you know, the stories, for example, Dr. Ivan Koza, and I'm going to use an admin example. Dr. Ivan Koza, when it came time for, they were looking at the deal with SABC, everybody watched that documentary. And he took it upon himself to fly over to Manchester, I believe it was Manchester, and he sat down with Manchester United's lawyers, and they taught him about TV deals, how to structure them, all of that stuff. And he took it upon himself to do it. There was an onus upon them. And I don't know what conversations they were having. I don't want to make it too lofty, but then is it too much to expect our players to take it upon themselves to do those type of things? Our coaches to take it upon themselves? Where I go, yes, then guys, let me go seek out a strikers coach for myself. You know, let me go seek out a dietitian for myself. Let me go do. How much does mentality play into these things like that? Should we be expecting more?
Uyazi ayikho into ebuhlungu uma ubona interviewer an upcoming talented player. Athi his biggest dream is to play Europe. Uyadlala, he won't get there because he doesn't have the acumen to go through the rigorous program that an overseas player in the third division, by the way, and second division is demanded of him. So I think the attitude of the players plays a critical role. We are not asking for too much. Once a player, Braoti, earns 150,000 a month, he needs to spend on himself. And what does that mean? He needs to find a dietitian. He needs to have a psychologist. He needs to have all these people that I've counted so that he can develop into a skillful, good player or efficient.
Sorry about that. My TikTok is saying I wasn't active. You can carry on, Pratama.
Yeah. So, and I totally agree with him up until mindset ishintshe, we are gonna be stuck into mediocrity. It was a good learning experience. But secondly, South Africa, it was a learning experience. There's no more learning. Also, shower Tanzania, ushawe Zambia, ushawe Rwanda. Then you know which there's no learning anymore. And guess what? In Rwanda, they've got an American psychologist who's taking care of the team in Rwanda. So we need to look at what the world is doing and do it because there is money from us to do that. Simple as that. We're not asking for too much. Would you play even a psychologist? Yes.
Okay, let me go to Master Goodwill. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? Master Goodwill, are you with me? There we go. How are you? I'm good. Listen, Master, tell me. I'm going to jump you straight into the deep end. How much does mentality hurt South African football? And when I mean mentality, I'm speaking about players going out and bettering themselves outside of the team, coaches going out and bettering themselves, administrators, etc. And it doesn't have to be, big money spending, but maybe taking the time to learn about, okay, I'm a striker, this is how we run, this is how we do this, especially at the professional level. How much is mentality, how much can we blame mentality for where we are as South African football?
At most, you can blame mentality a lot. Because if you watch most of the teams like outside SA, let's say take Brighton for instance, when you watch teams like Brighton play, how they play their scouting, everything like that, they are to succeed based on the environment that the people who are in charge push you a lot, and you see everyone around you being pushed, they respond. You have no choice but to get pushed as well. You have no choice but to do better. So in SA,
Master Goodwill,
in charge and stuff like that, they try to make sure that, you know what, we have a vision.
I'm going to ask you to go off and come back on. I think there's a bit of a network issue there. So I'm going to take you off. Just request again. Usually that fixes it. There's a lot of cutting that is happening. Let me just check with everybody else, guys. Am I cutting myself? Is it a me problem?
No, not yet.
Okay, Master Goodwill, I'm going to take you off. I want you to come back on. Then I'll give you a chance to finish your point. So we'll just check whether we can do something about that network. Manelisi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good.
I'm jumping you into the deep end. I made the example of basketball players in the NBA, especially the ones that want to be great, quote unquote. They usually go out and find other resources outside of the team in order to help them get better, for example. And I think that points to a mentality thing of wanting to get better. How much is a poor mentality to blame for a lot of South Africa's problems, whether it be from a player perspective, a coach's perspective, that they're not going out themselves to go get better?
I think this starts from like the background, because if you could take example from the rugby structure, these guys start winning from a young age. That's real winner mentality, like the structure, family orientated, married, you see. So now when the stages get like to World Cup stages, they can overcome any challenges because mentality wise and background, they've won from a young age. Sometimes you can't teach someone to be a serial winner when they old, you see. If they had like background problems like drunk fathers or whichever township challenges, they'll always struggle. But I just think the structure should be right. And then what's destroying our football, it's SAFA and then the PSL, transparency. It's like when it's not necessary, they will come and then they'll make PR talk too much, where they say this, that, where you don't even understand how, but explain to us like how. Like now with my team, Kaizer Chiefs, they just made a breaking news that this coach is leaving end of the season. But we knew all along that the guy just signed for this season and then they will not extend his contract due to his performance. So now they're making it as if it's PR, breaking news. How is that breaking news? Because you're aware. You see, these unnecessary PR where they hide under stuff. So I think just transparency and then having a structure. That structure comes from like everywhere, like transparency, like your ANC, you're everywhere. Because the rugby guys are doing this, like we're seeing how the rugby structure is. So these guys, like 90% of them, they married. So they know after these guys are saying they have psychologists. After training, where do they go to their families? They don't go out. They don't. Their TikToks, it's less. You see, so as I just think it's the structure, the background structure, and not being a winner at a young age or when you're just grooming, maybe under 17 or under 19, when you're becoming a man, you see. So if we could prove those structures and like qualify, because if you could see from under 17, look how long Mukwena took for him to be a spot on the spotlight, but the guy played under 17, under 19, under 21, and that Polokwane guy, Eplos, I don't think I pronounced his
Police.
name right. Yes. Those guys, they went to the World Cup and the Olympics. Mara, look how long it took for them to be in the spotlight. You see? So it's all these development structures that we need to fix from a young age, install that winning mentality, like the Sundowns mentality. You see? And then the management needs to be accountable at all times.
Okay. I just want to highlight a comment. Tsegofatso Kwinana says the launch for the Hollywood Bets League is going to be tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can make that one. I'm going to see if I want to make that one. Let me see. Kumo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, awesome. How's everyone and how's you?
I'm good.
we
I'm
like
good.
you.
Kumo,
Cool.
I'm going to throw you into the deep end. When we look at players and them saying that they want to be the best, for example, and coaches and administrators, how much do you blame them for not taking upon themselves to go and get better in some way? And it doesn't always mean that you have to hire a dietitian and hire all of these people. Sometimes it means going onto YouTube so you can learn how to run like this and do this. Going and reading some papers to go see how administration is done in England, for example, or whatever. Coaches, your coach loves to put things on Instagram that come from different coaching things that explain tactics and whatever. How much can we blame them for not wanting to get better? And do you think that that mentality is something that may be holding back South African football?
Oh, I wanna Philly's games background today. I thought maybe like we were discussing Kaizer Chiefs' scouting model. I get it, yeah, that. No, I'm sorry.
Violence, Kuba,
No,
violence.
get that I get you get excited. Oh, okay, no.
Okay.
You know what, ne? Bruh, you know how South Africans we are as a nation. Like when someone like you, for instance, or Toma, like your TikTok page and YouTube, when we discuss football with common folks, someone is gonna say, "I what that chess boy? Why Kiromo Petere? Why can't you do it like normal people do?" I want. So when you try and be different, it's not popular because you know the mentality of people, South Africans, if young. When you try and improve yourself, it's difficult. So I don't want to compare South Africans to Africans because right now we actually comfortable in terms of like our league is well run, despite everything you might have seen. Buka Mamki's living even causer, yes, but our league is actually well run. Some players are well paid, so you can make a living from our league. That is why when they go overseas, they won't stand for BS, right? They won't stand for racism. Corey, they know they have something to fall back on. Like unlike a lot of actually majority of Africans, because they know if they say they threw bananas at me or if the snow is too cold, I can't climatize. I can't go back home to Nigeria. I can't go back home to Sierra Leone. And people forget, Hore, as much as you're making fun and say there aren't any Bafana players in Europe, we don't need to because everything is here back home. And that doesn't mean that those players are better. That's point number one. Ne? So point number one, it's all about the individual. Like for instance, Andile Jali doesn't look like he's younger than Ronaldo, CR7. Ronaldo is a true professional. He takes care of his body because that's his money maker and he still wants to play football for many more years. Ne? I mean, like, he's one of those guys. Actually, I've never seen a striker who's still a captain, who's still banging those goals, knocking 40 years old. And he's only doing that because because I read somewhere, or I even saw a video, I'm not sure, ne? When he was still at United the second time around, he used to stay behind and do some extra drills, right? When he goes home, he actually has an underwater, I don't know how to describe it, but I know what it looks like. You know those bikes at the gym that you get, but the one that he has is underwater, so it's for strengthening and resistance. He has that thing, so even in his spare time, he does such things. Okay, those are extreme and financially straining for most people.
Yeah.
Some people can't attain them. But one thing that he doesn't even drink Coke. That's something people don't actually will never sacrifice. He is strictly on a water diet, maybe some tea and lithium and get green tea. So small things like that, man, it gives you like taking care of your body, it makes you better holistically, including mentality, because your mind, your body is not filled with sugar, MSGs, added whatever, like things that poison you. So if you can start and actually do some research, I can right now, for example, our fellow panelists and from certain Soweto teams, ne? Nagwele Bawana Sundowns players, ne, with that armbands and majority heart and stuff. But it's a game bululu, but boloi. Or one again to and those things are there to monitor a player's performance and whatever. Now that by one horror and some Liverpool players are doing it, now the one I come in. My point is that once you do something different, they make fun of you, and some people succumb to pressure and they give in. So yeah, it's not cool, bruh.
Okay. Let me bring in Tebza. Tebza, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sharp, man. Sharp.
Tebza, le wena ko kenya ko deep end. Tebza, can we blame players, coaches, admin staff for not taking it upon themselves to get better, not taking it upon themselves to do the extra steps in order for them to, become good players? So where everybody's complaining about Chiefs not having a strikers coach, for example. Why aren't we seeing an Ashley Dupree? And I don't know if he does this. This is just an example. Why are we not seeing Ashley Dupree going and finding their own strikers coaches and going and working out on their own and figuring out things on their own? Or Abo coach going, you see them going to a different, I could say, different places, getting the conference and things like that where they can learn. What is it that can we blame them for not doing those things? Sorry.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a question. It must be like that. If you are a player and you know that you are lacking in something, why should you wait for someone to come and teach you? Understand? Why don't you go to that someone and say, hey man, I'm lacking in 1, 2, 3, and I see you specialize in 1, 2, 3, or you were a former player doing 1, 2, 3. Can you teach me to do these things? Can you come and help me with 1, 2, 3? You are the one who's playing there. You are the one who's getting best every week for missing chances. What plays in your mind whenever fans are bashing you? You see all those things. You understand? So why don't you take extra steps to improve yourself? Why we hear stories like Cristiano Ronaldo was the first one to arrive in training, the last one to leave, and you look at the guy, he's the arguably the best player in history, but then he still does that. He converts each and every chance, but then he still works on his finishing. Where now you can score even 10 goals in a season, but then you don't stay behind and work on your finishing and all that. I'm just making this Tabaya finishing and all that because you made it cast strike. It's an example. Even now our midfielders must have these things started. They must do ball work, ball control. We see poor passes. You understand? Poor reading of the game and all that. They don't. It's like they don't sit there and learn about football. Football is not only about getting into the field and using your talent only. We see overseas coaches getting players into a classroom, teaching them about football, how to position yourselves, how to receive the ball in a right posture, how to pass the ball. You don't just pass the ball as long as if no. The manner you pass the ball, it communicates to the receiver of the ball or when you got you understand? It tells him he says I must turn. You understand? Right? It means maybe he must pass it back. It communicates that thing. So the coaches, our players, they don't take further steps. We hear Gamo Sundowns, Gamo next door arena. They take Rulani to overseas.
Exactly.
He
Yeah, I wanted to get there.
he goes overseas and learns, and he comes back. He shows that. You hear, even if we can say, hey, he copies Pep, hey, what, his press conferences. You can hear where this guy, man, he has learned a lot from wherever he is coming from. Whatever that he's talking about, we don't hear it in our local coaches. They don't talk about this stuff. These things he's talking about, it's foreign to us. You understand? So we must blame them. We must blame them.
Oh, and do you think a mentality that holds us back, Debza? Because as South African football as a whole, from the top to the bottom, on the pitch, off the pitch, is it something that holds us back? That there's too many people within the league that are not necessarily wanting to get better, whether it be labor marketing, things like that.
Yeah, I think it is one of the things that holds us back because we still have that mentality that talent only is enough. You understand? It's not enough. Talent only is not enough. You can be the most talented player. We see them. Look, we're not saying overseas there are no players that do the same thing. Local players start Nadia. You see them go. They're talking about the hazards who didn't wanna put the work. Their careers end very quickly. You understand? We see them. You understand? So talent only doesn't improve you as a player. It holds you back. You stay in the same standard. You never improve. You'll always be like high. Blind. He'll get there. You'll always be promising. You understand? You'll always be promising. You'll never be that player that we want you to be. You'll always finish more leveling at that particular time. So it's disappointing, to be honest.
Okay. And I think it's not to say that everybody must do it. It's not to say that everybody must now wake up and do, but I feel like there's a lot of love that's lost in the actual art of the game or the game itself, where you expect a lot from professional players or people who do it for a living, or people who are in the space. Again, I use the example of you see players and they ask them, who's your favorite player? And it's like Ronaldo, and in my mind, I'm like, are you doing things that can make you world class? Are you learning? Are you taking yourself seriously as you're growing and as you're doing what you're doing so that you can get there? Let me speak to a consummate professional. Tatem Tsetwa, how are you, sir?
Hey, sharp Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you this question as somebody who's seen a lot of football over the years. Tatem Tsetwa, can we blame players, coaches, administrators, marketers, whoever, especially in the South African game? Can we blame them for not wanting to go out and get better? And is it maybe a mentality problem that we have in SA?
First thing is our football didn't start today. And we have had Jomo Sono, we've had Asin Twilling. Before them, we had Kalamazu Mukoni, we had Abraham Johansen. And thereafter, we had Jomo Sono's father, Skara Sono. And then we had Chipa Muloi, Tebo Muloi's father. All those players were brilliant players. Some of them played abroad. Some of them never even played in South Africa. And all of them that I've counted used natural talent. And they scored more goals than goals that are scored now in South Africa. Hypothetically, one can say football was not as quick as it is now. No, football was very quick at that time. Very quick, believe me. And the players were much stronger at that time because of one, nutrition, and how they trained. Now it's more scientific and it's taken away the strength part. It's more about cybernetics and all. And that has affected how we play football. South Africa, we want to match ourselves with the world. And currently we're far from the world, very far from the world. However, having said that, I still believe that it's something that can be changed going forward. If Samora could manage to score 30 goals in 1985, why can't we score 40 now? When there's more money, when there's more science, and when there's more facilities, better facilities, when there's high performance centers, when there's coaches like Rulani Mkwena, like Jose Ribeiro, there's Gavin Hunt, and all. Why can't we score 40 goals a team, let alone individuals? Some teams play 30 games and score less than 30 goals a season. What's that? Okay. Then your question, who's to be blamed? We can blame a lot of things, but why are we looking to blame? Why are we not saying what should be done to correct the situation and alleviate this non-scoring performance of our teams? Sundowns is 42 points clear now. 12 points ahead of whoever's coming behind them. And they're scoring goals. Now, let's go back 20 years ago and ask yourself, 20 years ago, whoever won the league 20 years ago, let's take an example. In 1999 and then 2000, 98, 99 and 9, 2000, Sounders and Chiefs between them scored between 70 and 80 points. So 75 points actually. That's total points per season. That means if you get those kind of points, it means even your goals go high. Because you can't score 75 points at the end of the season and then score 20 goals. No, you must score beyond 50, 60 goals. But some teams cannot achieve that. What was the difference between then and now? We didn't have striker coaches in South Africa at that time. No, we didn't have. No. We didn't have all these goodies that we see in our football now. But players took it upon themselves to improve themselves. I once spoke to Thomas Musfuling Flongani long time ago, and he was a very good goal scorer at Swallows and at Kaizer Shepherds. And he said one thing: when I wanted to play football, the reason was to score goals. The question here is, our strikers, do they play football because they want to score goals as strikers, or they come to play football because they want to be rich? So it's a question of priorities here. The club will hire you because they saw you playing somewhere and think that you can come and deliver for them. But when in your own mind, you come to the club not wanting to come and score goals, but wanting to come and score big in your pocket.
Yeah.
So your understanding between you and the club are different. Yes, you sign for them and say, "I'll come and score goals." In your interview, when you arrive at team, "I'm here to win trophies. I'm here to score goals." But goals are not coming. They're not coming at all. Look at so many examples within the Premiership at the moment. At Kaizer Chiefs, at Pirates, Sandos, it's a different kettle of fish. Different. And any other team in the PSL. Guys come there and say, "Yeah, I'm here to win trophies. I'm here to score a lot of goals and improve from how many I scored, where I'm coming from." How do you have a striker in 6 seasons? A striker scored less than 20 goals. What is that? With all the facilities and all the things, the goodies that we have in our football, what is that? Then the answer to your question is, it lies solely at the doorstep of the player. The player himself must improve himself. That's why I said on Sunday, after Chiefs loss, I said, leave Bowie out of this. Leave Jessica and Kaizer out of this and Junior. Ask these players, why are they not scoring goals? Because they got the balls on their feet. They are facing the poles. What is so difficult just to put the ball into the net? What's so difficult? What happened in Maritzburg when Chiefs was playing Royal AM? What happened? What happened on Sunday? Same player again. Okay? But then when he arrived coming from Cape Town, what did he say? "I'm here to win trophies. I'm here to score a lot of goals." Has he done it? No.
Yeah.
Ranga Chipaviru, same story. They took him from Magruma Gallants because he was scoring goals there. He was a star there. Come to Kaizer Chiefs, he's not. He scored 3 goals the other day, very good. But for him, on average, he should have scored probably now about 13, 14 by now, on average. Okay, maybe Dupree, we can say sorry for him because maybe he comes from injury. But when you come back from injury, you are hungry, you want success.
You're meant to be hungry. Yeah.
You are hungry. There's no two ways about it. You are hungry and you see your team is not doing well. Here's a cup competition. Your team has not won a trophy in 9 years. What do? You come stronger, hungrier, and all. But what happens? You don't deliver.
Yeah.
Let's leave Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about football generally. Our football, it's more of a money spinner than a result-orientated football. Sundowns will always make sure that they have enough players to secure the points and give the money out. They just won 70 plus million now. Okay? They can afford to lose 3, 6 points, 9 points in the league. Recover and then come back and win the last 8 games, 7 games and win the league again. But they cannot afford to lose the Champions League because that's a priority, Champions League. When they go to Champions League, they play the best team. Show Sundowns the money, you'll get the results. But now, before, we used to know that if you show Kaizer Chiefs the money, you'll get the results. So 9 years, different story. So players must take the responsibility to win games for their clubs, score goals for their clubs. Because clubs cannot pay you for being there not to score. What's the point of having a top striker in the team for 3, 4 seasons and has not even scored more than 10 goals per season? Get rid of him, let him go. Get a better striker who can score a lot of goals. Abroad, I think you and I know, many big teams overseas, you're a top striker when they buy you. You fail, or have I? Or have I? Let you go, because you are just taking resources of the team in many ways, salary and all, you're taking away, but you're not giving back. No, it shouldn't be that way. It has to be a give and take situation. That is why some teams in Europe, you'll be surprised they let go of very, very top strikers just because they can't deliver. So if we learn to do that, there's what is called harsh reality and tough love. If we do that in South African football, we'll have very good football and strikers will start learning that. With tough love, if I don't play, I see the door. They pay me my money, I go. And then you sit at home without no team because now we are rendered redundant and useless.
Tatem Teto, I want you to stay and I'm going to come back. Xolani, I want to ask the big question from today, or my final big question. I don't know who's ringing. Can South African football, and I mean South African football, can it be upgraded to go fight with Europe, go fight with the world, to go be a world-beating football? Is it a possible thing, or should we assimilate to what Europe is doing?
Yeah, Mr. Oates, it's possible. It's possible only if we're going to hire the right guys for the job, and make sure they get their money's worth, and also have it's tough love a show and be realistic. I think by doing that we will be able to achieve that. Because Mr. Otsi, okay, let me talk about your team.
Yeah,
You guys always defend your players and say you've got quality players. But if I could ask you, Mr. Otsi, what is a quality player? For me, I'll say someone with good technique, someone with that can finish the chances, someone with good technical and tactical awareness, and also someone who can play under pressure and also deliver, Mr. Otsi. And your players, they don't do that. Okay, fine. Football playing wise, okay, badlala ball. But are they able to perform under pressure? If ngempela Mr. Otsi, they're going to doubt themselves against minnows. Mr. Otsi. But angikho kunina kangaka. I just wanted to make an example because recently nina enibe kuleyo situation. So for me, yeah, let's just get people who are driven by a success country, and then put them in right spaces, and start abantu laba aba driven by money, sibabeke eceleni, and by doing that we're gonna strive as a country.
And I also just want to add, if you'll allow me, Xolani, I think it's not just on the pitch.
Yes, sir.
Because I feel like it's all the way up. And I want to make that point, Guti. You know, the reason why I wanted this conversation to be all the way from the pitch upwards is that, as Bob Mtetwa says, for example, you need to show tough love. That's a management thing. So, mentality and management nayo has to be good. Ukolani is not doing the job that I need him to do. And mentality yami and my goals are to go win the league and go win cups. So because Kolani can't do the things I need, mangimvayise, and then I go find somebody who can.
Yes.
You know, if I want football to be better from an administration point of view, you know, we need more youngsters who can strike. So let's say we've got a strikers problem. At some point, somebody administration has to go, okay, are we making sure that at grassroots level, bakhona la over coach that can take players and create our strikers and make it a plan? You know, there's an emergency plan. Nkumbule Chemini, they were struggling with money. At some point, sponsors were pulling out. And the league, in order to stay up there, had to make the decision, good, okay, we might not have the money, but if we forego the money, we're going to go find the youngsters and go develop and create strong development places so that we can focus on something. Manje, if also at the top is not happening, that's the grounding. You know, grounding, I know Guti, I score my 5 goals in 2 seasons. I'm going to get a contract extension. Guti, why you're getting it. So it has to go all the way up.
Sure.
Let me,
Yes, yes. And also, Mr. Otsi, and also, Mr. Otsi, if Kolani comes early at Jimini and do all the right things at Jimini, but fail to produce a grounding, lo muntu akangihluphi of the akangihluphi like ngayo yonke into, he just can't produce a grounding. So I have to say, boy, you're a good boy, but you don't bring anything to a team when it comes to playing football. So we have to let you go. Yeah, well, that's tough love. You've been serving us for quite some time, and you've been a good boy for us, a good representative for us. But a grounding, you don't show up. So we must let you go.
Let me go to Ndabenhle. Can South African football be made to can compete at a European, at a world level, where we can it be built, or must we carry on assimilating to what the European style of play is, or
Because
European
of poor
football is?
Yeah, because of poor administration, we can no longer assimilate. Started directly from their principles and how football is run up to the club level. Sigu enforce and introduce discipline, aptitude, the player development. Kuhambisane konke. Sikhumbule ukuthi we are living in a different era where everything is done in a technical way. So we need to go quickly into that so that at least by continuously qualifying for the AFCON, then good players are going to come into the equation. And I encourage abadlali basebangasabi ukuyodlala ko-second, third division in Europe, because that's where they're going to hone their skills. In that way, kuzoba lula. I'd rather have a guy odlala ku-second division in Norway or Switzerland. But I can tell you, the quality of coaching in those countries is second to none. Ubona ngama young boys with Champions League, you know that. If you go, for instance, with Croatia, well, they don't pay well, but the quality of players they produce there is excellent. So ngizama ukuthi imediocrity nokuhlala emall, uhlale nasetavern, uhlale kwankonga, it does not produce a good football who's going to last for 20 years in the career. So let's go for the European standard. Bassetile, Facebook every Thursday, now Wednesday on with Champions League. We need to get there quickly so that we can be competitive. That's all I can say for today.
Kumo, just for context, the conversation started with what we thought South African football is. I see there was a comment there that you and PK were making, just for context. We spoke about what we thought it is. But now I want to ask, how can we make it that our football can go and fight European football or the world football? Is it possible even?
Oh, sorry. So, tumile show ka 7 ga joko.
Yeah. I get a chilo 7 o'clock up until it's now 7 o'clock.
Mara level background story 8. I want to hira as your PA wabais.
Background thing. Oh,
Join
on
the
there.
live.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you got me.
No. First of all, okay, sorry, the question again, do we need to upgrade so we can
Can we?
find
Can we? Is it possible to take our football to that level? How do we do it?
what is the level, what is the bar, what is the standard actually?
Ah.
Why are we saying our football is not there, first of all? One, because if you wanna fight Europeans with at their own games, you're gonna fail. Because one, Europeans build us stronger in terms of like the taller, and South African, especially Sadiq region, we are shorter. We are known for our dribbling skills and our short passes, and passing. That is what we are good for. And if some people are gonna tell you no, like European football, not for nights, it's not what I wanna watch. It's very robotic, meaning like there's no flair, That is why I enjoy African, South American football, because that's what I like. So if you want us to just trap pass, and score, using your head, that European football, it's bored me the hell. So if Africans wanna try, or we should be, and people wanna dictate to us and say that is the standard and that is what you must do. Oh, you're gonna fail. Mara, we've got our own sense of identity. Why one? I know Hore, it's not much saying, but there were some positives. Like I feel these games, as much as we ridicule them, that is South African football, guys, because they're having fun and they're allowed to express themselves. As much as there's no sense of going forward, this also can be a tactic that can be used in mainstream football. This can be used to frustrate your opponents. And once your opponents are frustrated, you can actually win the game. Got this, offensive footwork. Okay,
Yeah.
but back to my train of thought, obviously, I'm a Sundowns fan. If you guys thought I was a Chiefs fan, I don't know why, but yeah, let me just say that
Violence.
Sundowns, yeah, we can do it. With a majority South African team, right? Also with a South African technical team as well. It was so great, although we didn't have a prolific striker, we should have went on to actually win the AFCON because we had the capabilities and the personnel for that. Mara, because that guy didn't want to take Batowaling on form, aka Bradley Horror, Reyners, including Mayo, but ke Aredane. So if you wanna, like Jod, I can never be you. As much as I can start my own YouTube channel or TikTok, I could never be you, and I could never beat you at your own game, and I can never beat you at expressing yourself better than you. One thing that I can do, I have to do what my strength is. So I want obviously your banter and my quick wit. Kaiturumo, I have to capitalize on that, and that's the same thing should be applied to our football because we do have the skills, we have everything. And yes, I don't believe these Europeans bariveta, Castanet and stuff. Obviously, bona, they are leagues and and they take more everything professionally. That I can do. I'll give you that. They're much more professional than us. But in terms of say we need to upgrade to what?
Dude, no, I mean it in terms of I mean it in terms of can we create a situation where Bafana Bafana wins a World Cup? Not necessarily.
We can. I mean, like Croatia, they were not the best at winning the World Cup. Even this team, Argentina, Messi wasn't like convincing. Hence why there were so many rumors or this World Cup was rigged or something. Or it's all about luck and who you get the one into your knockout. You can actually win the knockout. I get everyone has fit. Everyone can pass. Everyone can score. I know it's a blanket statement that I'm saying. Obviously, like you need to be, skillful and stuff to win the World Cup. But I don't see us. Why not? I want. So if you
Okay.
wanna see, I'm glad whole FIFA has FIFA has introduced the FIFA World Cup, Club World Cup, so we can see our best football club here in Africa in Sundowns. It will be against the likes of Bayern Munich. Once
Okay.
we beat them, Bayern Munich, I get actually club level is much more competitive than country level. If we beat them or we do great at the World Cup, are you then gonna start recognizing what actually South African football it's actually great as well? Because
Okay.
I believe it is. I believe it is. Although the problem that we make, we always compare South African football with Chiefs, and that is not a good advertisement for our football. That's all I'm saying.
Parting shot. Always. Very cool. Let me go to Tebza. Tebza, can our football be, how do I ask it? Can our football be made into a football that can win us a World Cup? Is it possible?
Yeah, it is possible, even though it will take time. Understand? Because ngesiZulu bathi ligotshwa lisemanzi, and then esetse itile or wa ikoba ya robeha. Understand? So esetse le ba so ba wa leng teng, the current crop of players, you cannot develop them any further. Understand? So we must start them at an early age. Understand? And then in terms of the standard of football, the standard of football, the style of football. Again, the standard and the style.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with our style of football. It is our standard, the quality. The quality has dropped from where we come from, Watalwan, and it's going backwards. So it is as the previous speaker has spoken. It is only Sundowns that has now showing maybe in a way and then it's but as for the rest of the teams, there's no progression on Talon. So our style is okay. We love it. We all, I believe, we all love our style of football. It's entertaining and it's not a difficult style. It's a difficult style to contain if you are an opponent. We've seen it before when we were playing it with our legends back then. You understand? So it is a matter of the quality. Our players cannot trap. It's true. Our players cannot pass. Our players cannot finish. That's the standard here. When we play, when we're talking about the standard, we're talking about the quality. Understand? Style of play. I believe with our style of play, complemented by the standard with the quality, we can win the World Cup. We need to develop players to have that quality and to be at that standard. Style of play, we should keep our style of play. We shouldn't copy anyone, but then we should copy Europeans when with their development, maybe with teaching our youngsters basics, how to control the ball, how to pass, how to finish. Understand? Discipline and all that. Those things are standards, Buffett. Everywhere. If you don't have those things, even if you can have great style of play, you won't go anywhere without those things. Those are the benchmarks. You gotta have quality on the ball, discipline how now on and off the pitch and all that. The standard, we should meet them. We should copy that because of we see what it is the right thing. If you conduct yourself correctly on and off the pitch, everywhere, and then the style of play, we should keep it. It is our own. It is our. It originates from here. It is ours. No one plays like that, Buffett. It's Amaya, the Shibobo, and all that. But then it should be productive. It was productive back then. Hence, Baba Mtetwa here has said they were scoring goals. Why were they scoring goals? They were scoring goals, even though Bota Jomosona, they were standing on top of the ball and all that. But then after that, what does he do? He mesmerizes two players. He unleashes a killer pass or they score. It's not impossible, Buffett. It actually creates confusion for the opponents because of Renaria Euclides. We understand ourselves. Thank you.
And before I let Tatem Teto come in, I think for me, it's part of the reason why this channel exists. I think we tend to glorify things from outside instead of saying what are things that we can do better in order to make ourselves better and our football better. You can steal some things, but I feel as though we are trying to copy from people, and I always say this, who have a reason for why they do what they do. You know, you have a reason for why you have tiki-taka. You have a reason for why crossing works in Norway or Sweden or wherever, because they're told. There's reasons why. And I think we tend a lot of the time to neglect our own reasons to go chase something that we are always going to be second or third or fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth on, because those people have been doing it. So if we say that we want to play this modern football that comes from Europe, understand that the modern football, quote unquote, that comes from Europe is grassroots all the way up. By the time when you go face a 17-year-old, a 20-year-old Chavi who's playing tiki-taka, understand that 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 22-year-old Chavi has been playing tiki-taka since he was 5, or a version of tiki-taka since he was 5. So now when you ask a 22-year-old from South Africa who doesn't have the base of that, that's not what I'm good at. And you're making me get there and then play against this guy, Kapolo ya high, you're always going to lose, right? Whereas I think the strength of South African football of old was that, and it wasn't just about Jabupule, Oscar, it wasn't just about those guys. It was about Patrick Mabedi. It was about Abolaki Lekhwati. It was about strong midfields, Abonengo Masha. It was about strikers that knew their job. And what we did, even Kokasi, as somebody who played Kasi football, the 4-4-2, for example, we all knew our roles. I was not the best technical player, but I understood that my role on the team was to score goals. So that's what I did. The only thing I was lacking, and where I think South African football lacks at times, is, okay, your natural ability has taken you here. Maybe there's 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you can learn on top of that that can help you. Like I said earlier, you can have Uskwama. And then Uskwama, as an example, Uskwama no Tembazwani may have the same technical ability, but the difference between them is some of the extra things that Tembazwani has learned. In the words of Hugo Bruce, I didn't want them to change how they play. I just needed them to cut out some things and to add some things, right? So that's where I think we are lacking, that instead of taking what we know and building upon it, we are taking what we know and playing it up youth or whatever. And then when you get there, now I'm sitting with, we're playing a 4-2-3-1 with inverted left backs, and then you've got a central defensive mid that does 1-2-3-4, and the striker is a false nine. I've never played that in my life. Never played that in my life. Now I'm expected to know that. Not only know it, I must know it to the level of people who've been doing it for their whole lives and somehow beat them. You know, not knowing that the environments, the situations, the motivations may be different in South Africa. But I don't want to be too long, because Tatem Teto, I'm going to ask you 2 things. Firstly, can you weigh in on whether our football can be upgraded to the point where we can win football, like we can win World Cup comfortably? And then secondly, Tatem Teto has a initiative that is launched. And I just want you to touch on that, Tatem Teto, for those who do not know about it, that is launching this weekend.
Naila Voice in the footsteps of Babam Tetwa. It's a commentator search program that we have started. We launched it on Saturday in Kagiso. It's a nationwide search. And thank God you were there, you saw what happened. And we are starting the competition this weekend in Soweto. Details are a bit sketchy at the moment because we've got 2 venues that we need to choose from. One is Mapeta and one is Snake Park. So we'll confirm which one we're going to choose by the latest tomorrow morning. and then we'll advertise on all socials and radio and everywhere where we can to let people in Johannesburg and Soweto and Gauteng to know that we are doing our competition auditions in Soweto where on Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday. Ne? Sunday, from Sunday morning, we'll give out the time and exact venue. Remember, you must be 18 to 35 years. If you have applied, you are most welcome to come and contest. And who knows, luck might be on your side. Remember, it's a nationwide search. So we started in Gauteng, from there we go into Northwest, then we go to Northern Cape, then across the province to Limpopo, Mpumalanga, then wait for the holidays in June, July, and then go to KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and then finish off in the Free State, my hometown, Welkom. So about that is that you need to stay in your province. Don't come from Northwest and want to contest in Gauteng. I say idol, see. No. Idol, see, you lose in Northwest and don't come to Gauteng. Here, whenever you come, we check your name from what you wrote on your CV, that you are in Khanyisa. But this is Soweto. You can't be in Khanyisa and contest here. You need to stay there. We are coming there. We create spaces for people in that area. We don't congest the competition in one area. No. We'll end up losing all people coming to Gauteng. And we want to create a level of competitiveness to be very high amongst the applicants. So this Sunday we're starting in what you call in Soweto. Next weekend at the 10 we're going to the Val. We'll give the information then we move to Gauteng, all 5 regions of Gauteng, finish Gauteng and move to the next province, which is Northwest. But all details will follow. But for this Sunday, please check out my socials, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. Details will be there tomorrow. This time you'll be knowing where you're going on Sunday. That's it about that. Look, for you to become a commentator later in your life, join this competition. There's big things that's going to happen as we go around the competition, because there's also be schooling that's going to happen for all those who have qualified for the regional finals. There will also be schooling that they'll attend and other nice goodies that are included in there. So please come join us. If you are a fan, come listen to the guys commentating. After we give the venues where will they be commentating, it's gonna be fun. Let's have a good family fun. And football fans, this one is for you. For the commentators who want to take part, guys, practice and practice and more practice. I still practice even now. After 27 years in the trade, I still practice. I still get jitters before every game that I do. Doesn't matter who's playing. Answer your question about can we change the status quo? Yes, we can. Somebody is laughing about idols. I think yes, we can. We showed during AFCON that we can play better football. It all depends on what do we want to play and how do we want to play. I think Sundowns has set a very serious benchmark for South African football. Currently, it does not mean that it's the ultimate. No, it can change depending on what type of players we have and what type of coach we have. Hugo Brook said he selected many Sundowns players because they play better football currently in South Africa. And we don't want to change that, because why change a winning formula? If the team can win games against fellow Africans in Africa, Northeast, South, and West, why not take that team that is winning in all the corners of Africa to AFCON and then mix it up with players from their teams, even if they don't play for Sundowns? But we don't know how long will Sundowns sustain this. We can never tell. Football is not static. Football is dynamic. Things can change tomorrow, and another team come with another formation, with another coach, but still in South Africa. And then that team supersedes Sundowns, Pirates, and Chiefs, and whoever. And then we say, this could be the style of play that we can use that can take us forward. We never know. But I feel that if we go back to how we used to play in the olden days, that's how Sundowns is playing now. If you go back to how Pirates used to play in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the short passing, that was how Pirates played. And Chiefs as well. They used to play their football from the middle. If you remember the days of Malombo Lishaba, Fetimula Tedi, Maria, they played football in the middle. Okay? And that's how Chiefs became good. And fortunately, they had very good strikers then, like Waka Waka Dikwebe, Mike Mangena in time, and then they had Samora Kulu, Sputlan Shapu, all those players. The ball was played in the middle with Bo Triple K, Wellington Manyati, and went on and on and on. Then Dr. Kumalo arrived in 87. The same thing continued. Playing ball from the middle and passing, breakthrough. Then the teenage lad on the left with his speed. We still need that in our football. Okay. The question is, who do we target as we go forward? Are we going back to development and say, let's develop players for World Cup 2030, who are like 17 years now? Develop them for World Cup 2030. They'll be about what, 27 at that time, which is ripe. They're ripe at that time. This is what Germany did. 2006 in Germany. Germany were the host of the World Cup. They lost dismally. And the Deutsche Bundesliga and the Deutsche Football Association came together and said, what are we doing wrong? They said, we have an Asian team. Let's develop a new team that will win the World Cup in 2014. They came to South Africa 2010. They were experimenting. They were not expecting to win the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, Germany. No, they were not. No. They came here to experiment, to prepare for 2014. In that 4 years, Joachim Loop prepared that team for the World Cup final in 2014 in Rio de Janeiro. And that's what they did. They played against a very strong Argentina then with Higuain, Messi, and all of them, but they beat them 1-0 in extra time with Mario Götze scoring the goal. For me, it's like, okay, what is it that we can't do that they did? Let's have planning. We had a plan 2022. We're beyond that now in 2024. Okay? Forget about that. Let's have a new planning now. We have an under-17 team that is there now. The only challenge that we have, I'll be honest with you, and it's a big challenge. Our players don't grow big. They grow smaller. If you look at the team that we had at AFCON, okay, we had Mvala, height, good. Kekan, height, good. And also who? Mahope.
Tall. Yeah, Mahope and Tall.
And Stone. That's it. 4, if not 5. Even the goalkeeper, staying at 1.7 something, he's not the tallest goalkeeper. If he finds very big players like your Haalands, your Rashfords, your Bellinghams, all those big players from Europe and South America, we're going to have problems. So where do we build? We have a goalkeeper who's almost 2 meters at Pirates. Butelis. He's 22 or 23. Groom him for 2030. Groom him for 2030. For his height is good enough to be. Then you've got young boys who are bigger at GDC. Groom them for 2030. They shall have grown bigger more come 2030. So when you go to World Cup 2026 now, out of Group E that we're in with Nigeria and them, World Cup 2026, let it be where you're going to say, all right, what are we preparing for? What are we changing looking at 2030? Remember 2030, it's in Africa, it's in Morocco, and Spain and Portugal in 2030. So what are we going to do different from what we did in the AFCON in 2024? What is it that we're going to change? We're going to change personnel, yes, because all the players that are playing now, 2030, they'll be done. Now you prepare players from now for 2030 who are under 17 and under 20. By that time, they'll be 27, 28, which is a good age for them to play by the time. They won't be raw material. There'll be full professionals with full experience internationally and otherwise. So we need to change the approach. That's the first thing that we need to change to answer your question. Change the approach of how we treat our development. How do we prepare players for big tournaments? We shouldn't prepare tournaments 2 months before the tournament or 3 months. No. We need to know that AFCON is coming next year, 2025. The same players who played AFCON this year, some of them will still be playing in AFCON 2025 in Morocco. It's possible. Now, going beyond 2025 Morocco, going to 2027 in Ethiopia, then what's going to happen? Are we going to have the same players? No. Those players are players that must represent us in 2030 and AFCON 2027 and AFCON 2029. 2028, they're going to play in the World Cup as a group growing together from 2027 to 2025 going that way. The group that is playing now, next day it will be their last international tournament. They must not play beyond that. No. Only special players can go beyond that.
Okay.
Like your Mukwenas and all those. Those can go beyond. So, style of play. We have our own style of play. And it is known that we play short passing. We don't prefer playing long balls because we don't have the strength to run around for 45 minutes. No. We play short passes. We open up spaces. If you looked at how Sundowns scored against Amazulu on Tuesday, I was doing that game. And I did say it earlier, I said, one of the goals that Sundowns is going to come through the middle. That pass is going to come through the middle. And Bongani Zungu passed Costa Ribeiro for the third goal through the middle. That's how we play our football. That's our football. Pass, middle, pass, middle, hypnotize them, look for an opening, there we go. But Europeans are very clever. Their art of football is very, very genuine. And their discipline surpasses everybody. What they're going to do is, if they see we playing this pass, they're going to play man on man. They'll defend man on man. They've got the strength, remember. Okay? And they've got all the things that they need to be stronger than what we are. We've got the skill, okay? But question is, do we have the training that they have? Do we have it here? No, we don't. That is why our players, when they get overseas, you send 10 players overseas from South Africa, 2 will play well, 8 will fail and come back home. Why? The philosophy is different, okay? The training methods are different. Combination play is different because they play probably some football that we come with our own style and they say, no, that's not how we play football. We don't pass short passes, we play one-touch football. Don't stay on the ball. Touch the ball, go. Touch the ball, go. Touch the ball, go. You know, all those things you learn when you get there. By the time you wake up, your 2 seasons, you've played only 4 games. They say, no, you're useless for us, go. We don't need you.
Okay.
That's what has happened with many players here from South Africa going abroad. But the special players will stay there. The group of 1996, most of them stayed in Europe because they were ready at that time. They played against big teams. I mean, if you look at after 1992, when we rejoined the world, we played against Brazil twice. We played against Holland. We played Germany. We played England twice. We played Argentina. Those were very strong teams at that time. And there's no way that we would not get experience to play them. So the approach of us here should be, Dennis Jordan must get good quality from abroad.
Okay.
Don't bring us Thailand and all those funny nations, Australia and them. No. We want serious Europe and South American countries that can give us deep competition for the players to learn. If you look at the players who went to AFCON, they've learned a lot because players who played AFCON play in Europe. They learned a lot in Europe. So they took that from our players, took that from them to learn better and play better for our own football to grow in South Africa. So I think, yes, we can change a lot of things in our football. Development is very critical now to prepare for 2030 World Cup. 2026, we'll just go there for a joyride. I can tell you now.
No, we still need to sit down, but thank you so much, Tatem, for joining me. I just wanted to do one thing while you're here. as a tribute to the legend, thank you so much for joining me, Tatum Tetwa. It's just time. I'm just strapped for time now. Yeah, I think it is possible. And I think we have to, as Africans in general, learn the value of planning, as Mtetwa said, learn the value of standards, learn the value of putting things together so that we can look forward. And I think that has been killing a lot of teams, including my own, in terms of planning wise. I don't think there's a 5 to 10 year plan, as Umushin Etrigal said, for example. But these things need to come from there. But it is available. Thank you so much to everybody that joined me. Thank you again, Tatam Tetwa, for jumping in and giving us some insight there. And thank you to the panelists that came before. Thank you to the guys that gave me gifts. Thank you to those who watched on YouTube. The episodes are available in full on Facebook and on YouTube. You can watch them back there in full. And then also tomorrow we're going to be on at 12:30. It's the members show, my breadwinners, my contributors, the guys that financially keep this running. The Fridays are for them. They get a show. And you also get access to our WhatsApp group. So if you want to join and be one of those contributors, go on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join. And for 20 Rand a month, you get to be part of the WhatsApp group. And we have incredible conversations there in depth. Hey, banter, pictures, videos, all of that stuff on there. So please do join on that side. Guys, it's been amazing. What a show, man. What a show, what a discussion. The past 2 days have been incredible. I urge you to go watch them elsewhere and also support my content, guys. I've got my videos that I put up on here on TikTok and also on YouTube. So support. Thank you so much for joining me. And Tatem Tetwa, when those details come out, I will also put them up during the show tomorrow as well. And also when we do our watch along on Saturday. Okay, guys, I'll see you guys then tomorrow, 12:30 in the afternoon. Bye, guys.